Kyle Levenick.
So my story is, it's an oldie but a goodie, and it happened when I was in second grade. It was recess and it had rained out, and so these was one of the times when the kids just kind of had like free reign of the entire classroom. The teachers just kind of checked out and said, just do what you want to do. And me, being a total nerd, what I immediately did is I ran to the computers because I was going to play computer games all recess. And this was back in 90, 91, 92. So it was an old Apple IIe. They have just like the big keyboard case and then the monitor, and the power button for it is on the top, which is weird, and I'm glad they don't do that anymore, but it's an important little detail. And so I was sitting there with my friend Jeff, and we were playing the game Number Munchers. It was the coolest game that had ever really come out at that point, and all it was a tiny little frog that looked nothing like a frog, running from monsters that looked like they didn't even look like monsters. They just looked like somebody was just like, this might be a monster. It kind of looks scary. And all you had to do was run away from them and then eat numbers. We used to just try to, best whatever the top score on the computer was at that time. And at this point, we're so close. We were getting a really high score. We had almost taken over the leaderboard when all of a sudden a hand reaches in between the two of us right towards the top of the monitor and presses the power button and turns it off out of nowhere. And it's just like an atomic bomb in my head just goes off. And I stand up out of my chair, turn around, and I see this girl, Trisha McIntosh. It is pretty coincidental. She's standing there with this shit-eating grin on her face, so happy that she ruined our game. And before she could even say anything, I just go, "What the hell was that?" And I shove her in the chest. And that was the first time I hit a woman. And I just leave. I just hop off, thinking I'm the victim here. I just storm back off to my chair. And as I'm going back, I'm just kind of putzing back, just, head down. I tried to act like I wanted attention, but I didn't want to call for it. Just be like, "Oh, you should probably pay attention to me because I look sad." And as I was heading back, I noticed all these people were running past me, but I didn't care too much. I get back and kind of just sulk for another, couple seconds. When I look up and I see back over at the computer table, all the kids in the classroom are just circled around it now. And I kind of very cautiously go over, and as I get closer, I notice they're all looking down on the floor, and I get closer and closer, and then I realize that there is a female body just splayed out on the ground. She was just gone. Her eyes were closed. She wasn't breathing. And what it turns out is that she had a very weak heart, and when I shoved her in the chest, it happened to be right on the heart, and it caused her heart to temporarily stop. It kind of threw the beat off, and then everything was just like, "Oh, nope." And so I start crying harder than I've ever cried in my life because I think I just killed a girl. And the teacher comes over, is freaking out, the kids are freaking out, and the teacher comes back with the nurse. They start working on her, and she's okay, but then the principal comes in, and the principal was this nice old guy, but at that point, he was death. He was the Grim Reaper. And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to jail. I'm a second grader going to jail." He pulls me out of the classroom and takes me to his office, and the whole time I'm screaming my head off. I'm thinking this is just the end of my life. Teachers are looking out the doors like, "What is going on?" And he gets me to his office and just doesn't even say anything. He just lets me sit there for 5 minutes screaming and crying. And then at the end he tells me what happened, and he's just like, "Well, you clearly know you did a bad thing. And there's not really much I can punish you for. I mean, you've pretty much punished yourself." So I was like, "That's pretty good. That was pretty good." Everything came back to normal, and then many, many years later, we grew up in the same school, so we saw each other all the time. But then she turned into, this real bitch. Not a nice girl at all. And the whole time, I just couldn't help but thinking, man, I could have stopped that.